Good morning and welcome to another edition of Coffee and the Word. I'm really excited to continue this series that we've been talking about. I've talked enough about what I see in Colorado. I am going to spend some time now because some of you have been asking, so I'm going to answer the question. As of the time I recorded this video, I have not harvested an animal. I have not gotten my elk. I haven't gotten my bear, but that's okay. Really, the experience has been worth every second that I have spent on it. I have enjoyed this so much, and I look forward to coming back refreshed and ready to serve again. I'm excited for what God has in store for me and what God has in store for you over the next several months. I wanted to keep this concept of my church going because I hope that by the end of this series this week, we will come with the understanding that my church should be Christ Church. I belong to a body of believers, the family of God. And no matter where I go, here's the great thing. And this is kind of what I wanted to start with today. I'm in Colorado, and guess what I find in Colorado? I find the church. I find people who belong to the church, who serve God in a church, who lead worship in a church. I find people, anywhere you go, you can find the church of Christ. The church that belongs to Christ, you can find anywhere you go. And that's really comforting for me to know. But then at your home, you should have a body of believers that you belong to and that belongs to you, that you hold close and dear and extremely important in your life, that you check on, that you build up. Here's how we go from there. He says, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. Let us hold unswervingly to the promise, to the hope we profess. And I'm going to tell you something. Sometimes we need each other for that, right? We need somebody to remind us that there's a hope out there. When we're in a really dark place, when things are not going like we hope they were, when we have an experience that other people may not understand, I'm telling you, the church is here for that reason. It's one of the things the churches should be good at. We should mourn with those who mourn, and we should rejoice with those who rejoice. And I know there are people who are going through some tough times in September, and I'm just telling you, you don't have to go it alone. You're not alone. The church is here to lift you up, to encourage you. And I'm going to be honest, we don't always know that you're going through it. And so sometimes you have to reach out. You have to look for that lifeline. You have to look for that encouragement. And you have to let somebody know, hey, I'm not in a good place. And by doing that, the church should rise up. And I'm challenging our church, Los Fresnos Church of Christ, I'm challenging you to rise to the occasion. And let us hold, what the thing that we need to be reminding people of is the hope that is before us, the hope that we profess, because we know that God is faithful. And I'm going to tell you, we can get through a lot of stuff with that knowledge, with the knowledge that God is faithful. But we have to remind each other of that at times. Sometimes it's really hard. I know that most of you already know this, but sometimes it is really hard to remember that our God is good, that our God is faithful. Sometimes it feels like we've been abandoned. Sometimes it feels like he's not there for us. And so let us make sure that we hold unswervingly to the hope we profess. Let us stir one another up. And in fact, here's what he says: let us consider how we may stir one another up towards love and good works. So he says, let us consider how. We ought to be thinking about this. How can I stir somebody up to do the will and the purpose of God? How can I get people excited about it? I think you know that my answer is by connecting with a group of people and doing life with them, knowing what brings them up, knowing what tears them down, knowing when they're down, knowing when they're up, encouraging them and stirring them up. We're going to talk more about the stirring up of love and good works tomorrow. I said I would do it today. I know I said that, but I got long in this video. I'm trying to get back to what I originally intended, which is for this to be a 5-minute devotion. So for today, I'm gonna quit. Tomorrow I'm gonna talk all about stirring one another up for love and good works. God bless you. This has been another edition of Coffee and the Word.